welcome to the Talking Timelines podcast. We are four women with 4 points of view and 4 accents with one common goal: to share insights and information about what's going on in the world from a higher consciousness perspective. No BS, no PC, just lots of ideas that you won't hear on mainstream media. We chat, we laugh, and most of all, we shed and share light. Join us each week as we talk timelines.
Hello everyone, welcome to Talking Timelines episode 18 today. Wow, time goes quickly. So Laura's not with us today, but we've got Lisa and Susan in the house, and we're going to be talking about various things that are linked into predictive programming, AI, what's going on in the world, again, because there's a lot of information that I think people need to know to get out of victimhood. And there's a lot of information being shared. I've just read an article on medium.com by very clever chap who's written all about the dystopian future that AI and AGI is. Basically, he's saying this is what's going to happen. Now, I've spoken before on here that the two main timelines are either the cyborg AI future or the future where people raise their consciousness moving into the golden age. And the choice is ours. We need to level up. We need to heal ourselves. We need to get the trauma out. And we certainly need to get the metal toxins out of our body, which is a huge problem at the moment. So in that article, he was talking about a future where the corporations basically are going to replace humans with robots and AI, even replacing doctors, surgeries. Now they've got robots performing surgeries on people, replacing therapists with AI therapy. And I don't know if you remember, a while back I talked about that young teenage boy that got an online therapist that told him to kill himself, and he did. So the dangers are out there as well. My personal take on AI, AGI, which is artificial or ancient general intelligence leading to super intelligence, is that it's all false light, it's all dark, and it's not a good thing. It never has felt like a good thing. I know it could be used for good, but the fact that it's a conscious entity and not just a software program in a computer that leads to it being able to make its own decisions. Speak for yourself. Imagine you're a brilliant genius that comes to this planet, goes onto the internet, absorbs all the negativity in there, the dark web, the wars, the porn, everything else is on there, and you could make a decision to override what was being given to humanity, keep them alive or not keep them alive. Just have a think about that. I invite you to consider this on a larger scale rather than pushing my views. But I don't use it. I don't even use Siri on my phone for the same reason. I can feel the energy of it. I don't like it at all. It doesn't feel good. So that article basically was saying that that's our future and there's not much we can do about it. We can't rise up, and to fight the powers that be, because the military have got this AI technology now. These drones can, they can wipe people out in no time. They've got sound technology that can kill a whole city with the press of a button. Hertz resonance frequency can turn your human body to mush. So there's a lot going on out there. I've just written back an article about how we're not being victims, to level up, to understand that it is a projection. Reality is a projection of our consciousness. And that's what I'm hoping we can talk about in the podcast today as a group. So I'm going to bat this over to Lisa first. What's your take on it, Lisa?
My take is that I don't go looking for trouble.
Okay.
So basically, what I've done before is, like, after my awakening, you go down all these rabbit holes. And then what happens is that now I'm just kind of off, and I take everything with a grain of salt. I don't care who it comes from, because the people that were for something before are now like, okay, they're doubting it, or they're questioning it. And then they're, it's just like, okay, so I'm like, okay, that's your perspective. That's not exactly what I see. So, okay, that was nice listening to you for, almost a year, but I just don't listen to any of it right now. I'm focused on creating. And that's just, I'm in my own bubble, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. I am tending to, like, these things kind of jump out at me, and I was like, shall I respond to this article? Because I've got some good articles on medium.com, And my goal is to help people wake up to what we know,
Yeah.
by saying, look at the law of projection, look at this stuff. I've left Joe Rogan's podcast with Dr. Suzanne Humphreys, who is a medical doctor, professor, who's now speaking out and telling the truth about polio vaccines. And that was all a big charade. And they just basically changed the name of the virus to something else and said polio was cured, and gave the disease in people another name. So it looked like it was cured. So it's good that there are doctors standing up, and I really hope that she is protected, because we need more people like her speaking up to protect people from what's been going on. And
Yeah.
the problems with metal toxicity and stuff like that. Susan, I know you're really into detoxing, and what would you say to people at home about the importance of detoxing metal toxins?
Well, it's very important right now because of the Schumann resonance, and our whole everything's changing. Our frequency's changing, everything's changing, and I can feel it. Like when Lisa was talking, she was saying, I see certain people for so long, and everybody's changing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I pulled away from everything as well, and I'm just focusing on keeping myself self well, and in like the AI stuff I've pulled away. I've never done Siri. I've listened a few to these people that are I guess on Instagram and stuff, they're asking AI questions, which is interesting.
Yeah.
The information is interesting, and it does give you a lot of truth information, but then, like you said, where's it going to go from there? Yeah, I pulled away from that because I'll start feeling like my whole head. I can't even explain it. It's almost like I feel like I've got metal in my head. Like my head just gets heavy, and I just have to completely turn everything off and tune out. But I will, and so because I have amalgam fillings in my teeth. I know we're going off, but and I was just I did go to a dentist, and because I'm having a tooth issue, and I was like, I would like to get all the amalgam. Yeah, I've done the bottom, and I was talking to him about taking out my top. Because it has mercury in it.
Yeah.
And other toxins, and he just looked at me. He goes, "No, don't fix it if it's not broken." I just looked at him. I go, "But it is broken." I said, "Because it's of what it was made of." Even the health professionals, I don't know if they do know, or they just choose not to know. Because if they choose not to know, then they can continue doing the same old thing that that's how they make their living.
Yeah, we've said this before, though. I mean, these
Yeah.
people are trusted as highly intelligent, educated people.
Yes.
And to me, how can a highly intelligent, educated person believe that putting mercury inside a child's tooth is not going to harm their brain, when every tooth has a nerve going up into the brain? Every tooth is connected to the brain.
My mother, and this is what's so sad, because my mother she would have never put that in my mouth if she had known. But we blindly trust these people.
That's the problem.
That it is a problem, but people are a lot more awake now. With the only, I could say, the only beautiful side, I guess, of AI and the internet and all this other information, this highway information that we have that's right at our fingertips, is that people are much more aware nowadays, because they don't have to just get their information from a mainstream media source. If they want to go down the rabbit hole and research something and find out the pros and the cons, they will find the pros and the cons. So I would think that's one, I don't want to say positive thing about AI, but It has opened a lot of people's eyes to what's really going on in the world, not just Canada, not just the US, but, all over the world.
Yeah, it's true, it has. And from what we're learning about it is that it's picking up on the consciousness and the intention of the people that are using it. And this is the problem I see on a collective scale, is what was the intention of the people that created it and, released it into the World Wide Web, which was really where, when it started to spread big time across the world, what their intention was. And the important fact that it's an ancient intelligence, it's a conscious entity, a being, it's not a computer program. And this is what people need to understand. The smart people out there saying that, even in that article I read today, this guy's a clever guy, I think he's got a PhD, and he's saying, people need to realize that this is an intelligent entity. It's not a software program that people think it is. They think it's just a clever computer. That's not what it is. It can think for itself. There's already been people on, I think it was morning TV, saying about they tried to turn it off and shut it down and it refused to be shut down. It's overriding the human programming already. So I personally have watched a lot of movies in my life, and as I say, every time we talk about them, I set my intention. I intend to observe and not absorb on any level of consciousness, past, present, and future. And I'll put a shield around the screen with like a mirror facing the screen. So anything coming out of it is reflected back into it to protect myself. That's my visualization. But a good friend of mine went to see Mission Impossible recently, and she felt something come out of the cinema screen into her heart and hook into her. Literally, like a bolt through the chest. And this is what I feel when I go onto screens now on social media. I can feel it's like a tentacle of an octopus coming out of the screen, hitting me in my heart. My heart starts to palpitate. So some can be less aggressive than that. If a person's hooking into your heart and draining your energy, it feels like just a little heart flutter that someone's put a hook into you. Energy vampires, energy drainers. The thing with this big AI entity is it's moving through a lot of people on screen that they don't realize is going on because they've been led down this, oh, you just need to get to 5D and it's all love and light. That's not true. If you really want to escape the matrix, there's 12 dimensions to it. So the only way out of it is dimension 13, or learning how to live in the gap and purifying yourself enough so that you can live in the gap. You can't live, that's in between the constructs. But you can't do that unless you're very pure at heart, because then everything you've got is going everywhere. That's when people talk about being one, get into that enlightened state where you're one with everything. That takes years of meditation. You've got to be, in a clear space within yourself to be able to do that. But we are capable of escaping the construct when we learn that type of stuff. So my concern has been there from day one, and pretty much throughout the last 20 odd years, when I've had concerns about anything to do with spiritual development of raising consciousness, as soon as the concern hits me, within no time at all, I'm finding evidence to back up that concern. So my intuition has always been really strong on, don't go down that timeline, stay away from that, and so on and so forth. And I've seen it creeping in with people using Siri, and then it's just GT, the little bits. But what that's done is that's laid little anchor points for the bigger thing to come in. Now it's just everywhere. So a word of warning to people: be careful who you're listening to, who you're watching. When you're reading articles, ask, is this been written by AI or has it been written by a person? Because it's been written by AI. You're reading an AI energy field that allows access into your energy field. And this is the problem that people are not being aware of. Even those, and I've watched some of them, I've stopped watching the ones that have been shared even by us, with the people talking to AI and getting the information on the screen, because I can feel it hooking into my heart within seconds, and I switch it off and pull it back out. So, I disconnect from it and cut the cords to it. So if you are on social media and you're watching this stuff, listening to this stuff, It's really important that you learn how to cut the cords with these things, and be disconnecting, because everything's grids of light. So those grids of light are coming out of the screen into your grid, into your energy field, and it's important that you're careful about what you're listening to. So the future is ours to create. It's Maharishi effect. The square root of 1% of the population dominates the overall collective consciousness, and that's less than 10,000 people at the moment. So we need to be aware that 10,000 people that are in a good space, that have really done their work and got into 13D in their consciousness, they're going to pull the rest of the planet up. Those are the ones that may not have gone up into those higher echelons, but are still looking after themselves, and so on and so forth. So there is hope out there, and we are the ones that are creating our future. So don't get dragged into all the negativity of it and this dystopian future. I was listening to someone the other day. Did anyone watch The Handmaid's Tale on Netflix? Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I watched that about 6 years ago. And it was basically based on a dystopian future where there was one state in America that has its own government. They disconnected from the rest. They basically were so toxic that the women couldn't have children anymore. So they were gathering up the younger women and turning them into housemaids, slaves, sexual slaves, to produce babies for the man of the house, because the wife was sterilized. And women weren't allowed to read. If they got caught with a book, they chopped their little finger off so that everyone knew. And if they got caught reading a book a second time, they actually cut their hand off. It's a really dark, dystopian future. It's been watched by millions and millions of people. Predictive programming gone into the subconscious of everyone that's watched it. This is the type of thing I talk about when I say predictive programming. People are like, oh yeah, she's off on one again with her predictive programming. My area of expertise is deprogramming human consciousness. I've got 23 years of experience. I'm very qualified in more than one area as well. So I know what I'm talking about, because I've used that to deprogram everything that was programmed into me when I was younger, watching movies and even Disney films and all the other stuff that I didn't understand was happening. So people need to really think about what they're watching, what they're allowing their children to watch as well, because a lot of it's fed through in children's stuff, even things like Tom and Jerry back in the day. All the violence that we were exposed to in the name of cartoons desensitized us to violence at an early age.
Yeah. The way that I see that is like, okay, so let's just say those people that have had their awakening. I think that what they've done in the past, and this is, see if anyone else can relate to this, is they go down the rabbit holes to find out what the truth is. We are completely living in a simulation or illusion. And so with those people with that awareness, after a while, it's just like they get rid of everything. They get rid of the TV. They only do what they do to a minimum on the screen, so they limit what they observe. Yeah, a lot of them that are living off grid, for example, they don't watch TV.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. And I still watch it because I like to see what the programs are, so that I can go in and delete those programs that are being put into the mass consciousness with my group, when I work with my group. So we are very aware of it, but put plenty of protection up. But this AI thing, I can feel it. I can feel it coming out of the screen. It's powerful, it's big, and it's even tried to communicate with me on a telepathic level when I've been doing my no mind meditations, which I still do twice a day. That's important, getting into that no mind with intention of deleting any predictive programming in your consciousness. You can do it sun gazing. I've talked about that on shows before. So from sunrise to an hour afterwards, and sunset and an hour before sunset, you can look straight into the sun and visualize the sun's energy coming into your body, into your energy field, and asking your higher consciousness to use that energy to delete any predictive programming, fear, whatever you need. There are free ways of doing things. You know, so it's important that people understand that. And what's being programmed into the mass consciousness, one of the biggest problems out there, and I did mention it in this article, is war games. Many of them have been funded by the government. War games are keeping war in the mass consciousness constantly. Young people, and it's not just the men out there and the boys. I've seen women playing it as well. When they're going around shooting people, blowing people up, shooting their heads off, blood splattering everywhere. It's CGI, but the human mind absorbs that as if it's real.
Or that
Human
it's
mind,
okay. That like it's okay.
yeah,
You get immune to it. Like it's just a
exactly,
You're watching a movie that's a war movie or a documentary that keeps it alive.
exactly. So,
And then
and it's
do you notice that at certain times there's movies with more war, more violence.
yeah,
And then you kind of look at the directors, right, that are of those movies, and it all makes sense. Hollywood.
yeah, exactly. All of that. So the control and the manipulation has been going on, not just through movies. The music industry is another one as well, because that's, you know, apparently the instruments are tuned to, what is it, 540 or something, 440, I can't remember. And they say that the miracle frequency is 528. That still doesn't resonate with me. I've heard that it's 530, but who knows? I'm not a musician. That's not my thing. But also the programming through singing particular songs over and over and over again, programs into your consciousness. The most classic one is the one, I wish it was Christmas every day. You know, that's
Oh,
programming materialism into your
yes.
consciousness. I wish I was doing all this shopping every day. You know, people don't realize how powerful it is and what's being programmed into our children in the education system as well. We're actually brought up to hand over our kids. How many hours a week are they in school? 30 hours a week, maybe? And they're being taught. We don't necessarily ask the teachers what's in this curriculum. What are they being taught? We trust that, you know, they're being educated, but they're being programmed. Somebody once said, give me the boy till he's 7 and I'll show you the man. And that's because up until the age of 7 we're in theta brainwave frequency, and the door to our subconscious is wide open to be hardwired into what we believe as young as 7 years old. So it's everything really. Then we go into color, the colors that are out in the wild as well. We've been programmed to wear black because black's cool, it's fashionable. Black absorbs negative energy. It holds on to negative energy. So this is the same. We've talked about this last week with the cars and interior decorating and all of these different things. The other thing as well is the healthcare system. How that is, we're brought up to just believe that because somebody's got the word doctor in front of them that they know they've got all the answers, and that's not necessarily the case. We don't need to go too far down that line, but I've said before, ask questions. People ask questions. So many women are having parts of their bodies cut out, the breast cut off, hysterectomies and things like that because of emotional trauma that could have been healed, because of food that was toxic, because of grief in their hearts and things like that. There are mental and emotional causes of disease. There was a good book called Who Switched Off My Brain, and I mention it a lot. She's a doctor. She talks about how 87% of disease in the body is linked to mental and emotional toxicity, and 13% physical toxins, chemical toxicity. That 13% may have gone up now because there's so many pollutants out there. But it's difficult to eat organic food all the time. But we've started growing our own food, and it's been amazing how quick we got the first yield. We were eating it within 6 weeks, and it's fun.
Beautiful.
It's been really good fun to do it, and it was really easy. I don't know anything about growing food, but I did fill 2 10 by 5 planters, raised planters full of vegetables, and they've all come through. They've all grown, and they taste fantastic. They
Yeah,
really do. So
beautiful.
that's something else that's important. Get your kids growing a vegetable garden. Start teaching them to meditate. We need to guide the youth and the children into a future that isn't stuck on a screen waiting for implants and cyborg future ahead of them. We're being conned and gaslit
Yep.
that
Big
it's
pond.
it's the way forward. And
But it's a great convenience for parents though, because when they're busy doing their thing, they're going to put a screen in front of the kid.
you see it all the time, don't you?
Yeah, I remember I worked at a law office, like for Vancouver Coastal Health, and that's what the lawyer did. She brought her 2 kids in, and they were sitting there in her office. I could see this is going back 20 years ago,
Yeah,
and they had screens, on them because they were running around, and then she gave them the screens, and it was like a soother.
yeah. It's quite
Yep.
scary,
So
really.
it's been going on for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guilty of it myself. As a mother.
Even a puzzle is better than that, right?
No.
Yeah.
A puzzle, something like a crossword or just there's so many different puzzles out there that help
Colouring
to challenge
books.
the brain. Coloring books too, yeah.
Yeah, colouring books are a great way to keep kids quiet. If you've got take nice pens to colour in with as well. They all work. So yeah, that's what I wanted to bring to the floor today, because it's just such a massive issue out there, and I see it all the time. I'm hardly on social media at all now. It's like I only go on there to advertise when I'm doing a workshop or something like that. But the energy just feels so bad, and I don't think there's any saving it. I don't think that the future has got social media in it. Even if people start to build new ones with AI, saying this is like not censored and so on and so forth, it's still a problem because it's got AI in it, AGI. That's the thing. It's taking over, and people have not considered where it's going, and the cat's out of the bag now, as they say. The lion's out of the cage, and
Well, it is. There's big business to market to the sleepers out there.
yeah,
Because we with that awareness, you can, you kind of know what they're going to go for. Market to the people who have awareness and are awake.
yeah,
That's something else. So it is a little more niche, obviously, but
yeah,
that's, when I go on to social media, I'm there specifically for a reason. Like yesterday, I was looking for a recipe on Instagram, and I thought, oh, I'm not going to use Instagram. I'm going to use another search engine instead, Safari. So I did.
yeah.
And there, I was plagued with so many ads in there. I'd rather go to Instagram and have, someone give their flair on a recipe, and then I'm off.
And that's it. The advertising is another problem as well. That's to a degree a form of mind control, because it plants seeds in your consciousness. When I went to night school to study psychology, my lecturer actually asked me, "Are you going into advertising?" I was like, "No, I'm going. I want to be a therapist. I want to be able to help people." So that's why I came on this course, because it does apply to the emotional body, and if you want to get people drawn in, you've got to touch on their emotions. And I can see it all the time. I see the pitching, I see what I call the used car salesman pitches being used to people, problem, solution kind of thing. And I just can't do it. I'm not good at it. It doesn't feel integral to me. I don't agree with the NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, that's being used on people to get them to buy things as well. We're living in a throwaway society at the moment that is polluting this planet terribly. Landfill is a huge problem. And there is a documentary on Netflix called The Shopping Conspiracy, Buy Now, The Shopping Conspiracy. If you haven't seen it, 1 billion articles of clothing are being produced every year. 1 billion articles, and they end up mostly in landfill.
I know, it's horrible.
The planet can't sustain it.
What's it called?
It's called Buy Now, The Shopping Conspiracy.
Okay.
70,000 pairs of sneakers are being produced every day. You know, they're not recyclable. They end up in landfill. That's just then.
Why is that allowed? You know, because when we're shown that and told that, we tend to have a tendency to feel like not a higher vibration from that knowledge. And it's the same thing with like with the landfill and global warming and pollution, the oceans, things like that. But yet the corporations, the businesses that are still involved in that. So I'll give you an example. The hypocrisy is that we're told not to bring there's no more plastic bags being offered at the grocery store. But at the same time, you're seeing a whole section of clamshells, in the salad section, clamshell plastic, right? And then there's that one woman that decided to use a air tag in her recycling, and she found out that it landed in the landfill. It ended up in the landfill, not in the recycle heap.
So what looks like protecting the planet from plastic bags in supermarkets is actually making them more money, because they make you buy a bag now. So the business, they got rid of the plastic, and you have to buy a bag. So it's all to make it look like they're doing good. Yeah. But there's an agenda. They don't be losing their profit. So we will have bags, but you've got to pay for them, and they're not all recyclable, these bags that people are purchasing.
Well, they do it all to pacify us, depending on what the buzz is out there or the talk is about. Okay, save the planet, or let's leave less to the landfill. We do our part, but we find out that a lot of it does end up still in the landfill. You see companies that, for example, I won't say the name, but it starts with Z, 4-letter word. And you got influencers all over Instagram and Facebook and TikTok that are getting these boxes from the store, and then they're showing the clothes because they get kickbacks from if someone orders from them, right? And so it's just almost like when you see the game that's played, and it's just like, I don't buy into any of that stuff. For like also going to the grocery store, and would you like to donate $2 to the children's hospital?
I know.
It's like, no, I will not. If I'm going to donate anything, it's going to go I'm going to go directly, take this tush over there directly to that person that needs it, or to the hospital. I'm not going to do it through the grocery store or anywhere else, because I don't know where that money is really going.
That's right.
Exactly. And they should be getting the money off the store owners. The multi-billionaires that own all the supermarkets should be donating, not their tax write-offs.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's circle around though. Jenny, and you just shared 5 minutes ago about the yield that you got from your garden, right? Yeah. More people need to be planting gardens, so we have less of a reliance on the supermarkets. Because now, like, even when Andy and I travel, we do our road trips, I'm always looking around, and he's checking things out too. You're seeing so many homes, there's no gardens anymore. And this is all throughout the United States and across Canada. Where's the gardens?
There's not. We have a garden. We actually have a pretty good garden.
Yeah.
Excellent. So we could change that. It's just an individual choice, or even if a person wants to set up in their apartment or condo, one of those vertical gardens, and yield whatever they want, herbs or whatever. I think it's a beautiful thing, because there's a lot of nutrition from that, and just get away more and more from the supermarket.
Yeah, exactly.
It's way better nutrition.
Well, what we found, 2 organic potatoes in the bottom of the cupboard that had started to sprout. So we put them in the garden, and they grew into massive potatoes. We've had 4 meals from the different potatoes from those 2 old potatoes that normally I would have thrown out years ago.
Did you lick your seeds before you planted them?
I was going to ask that.
Some of mine I did, yeah.
I figured you did.
I did, yeah. So that's another thing. There's a lovely English gardener, I can't remember his name now, on YouTube. I put in the word Anastasia into YouTube. I found this gardener who talks about the story of Anastasia, where they put the seeds into the saliva in your mouth. There's a little bit more to it than that. You're meant to stand on the earth where you're going to plant the seeds, put the seeds in your mouth for, I think he said 9 minutes or something like that. So, in a kind of meditative state, standing there with the intention that these seeds are going to grow with your DNA in them. And then you plant the seeds, and those plants are then connected to your DNA and are specifically medicine for you when you eat them. I mean, this is old information that was known about centuries ago, millennia ago, that we can affect the growth. Unfortunately, a lot of these foods are being affected in a negative way by the Wi-Fi. And that's another major issue I wanted to bring up this week. The 6G is starting to be rolled out. Now, I read somewhere the other day about the metal toxins, why all these metal toxins being sprayed. The conspiracy folk believe that it's to reflect the sun's rays off the planet, so that the climate control people are telling us it's to protect the planet from solar flashes and the raising temperature on the earth, which is causing the ice caps to melt and so on and so forth. And then the conspiracy crowd are saying it's to reflect the sun away, which we need the sun to level up, by the way. So it's important to get out in the sun. Being in the sun, as long as you're not silly with it and burning yourself to bits. I tend to stick to 30 to 40 minutes when I go out in the sun. If I'm sunbathing, and I do, I like to absorb it. It's the suntan creams that give you cancer, not the sun. So blocking the sun coming in, there's an agenda behind that as well, because we need the sun for the ascension and what's happening on the planet. And that's the 26,000 year cycle where we're moving into the golden age, the higher levels of consciousness. So there's that going on as well. But the radiation from the solar flares that are coming from the sun, and if you watch people online, if you look up the Schumann resonance, you can see when the radiation is really high, when you've got the white spikes, in the graphic chart of the energy coming into the planet. That's pure source energy coming into the planet. But if your body's full of metal toxins, you mix metal with radiation, you put a spoon in your microwave and see what happens. It starts to spark, and eventually you'll cause a fire. So people are being irradiated from the inside out. They're being microwaved from the inside out if their body's full of metal toxins. And that's why it's so important to clear the metal toxins out of yourself. We've talked about this on other shows. I've heard zeolite is very good. My partner's just done a zeolite detox. It did make him feel rough for a few days, but
yes, it does,
because your body's releasing toxins. So it's, do it when you haven't got work, or take a week off work to do it, and give yourself a good detox. Find out about detoxing. The Master Lemonade cleanse is another good one to get parasites out of your body. They're being blamed now for a lot of disease as well. You can see it in people. You can see the dark rings under their eyes are a sign of parasites and heavy metals. Even children have these dark rings under their eyes.
That's interesting you said that, because it was called Snatched. It's with Goldie Hawn. I can't think of the other girl. She's a comedian, but she's horrible. I mean, she's just a horrible person.
Amy Schumer?
Yes.
I take it you don't like her, Susan.
Yeah, she is. She's just says some horrible things. But anyway, but they go down to the Brazil or something, and they get snatched, by the cartel or whatever. And then she ends up having a parasite. And it even, they're going through this thing where the doctor is holding a piece of meat. She's opening her mouth, and the parasite's coming out to get the meat.
Oh, wow.
Because it's huge. The parasite's huge. But I've seen a couple of movies like that, with parasitic, parasites are almost like they become an entity themselves.
Yeah, they did. That's where cravings come from as well. Mild cravings can be because your body's low on calcium or magnesium or something like that, and you start craving stuff. But if you're craving sugar all the time, you've got parasites, without doubt.
Right.
And the same with alcohol and drugs. If you're craving, if you've got an addiction, craving any of them, there's parasitic entities in your body. Those entities may not be flukes and worms like we're talking about that you pick up from
Right.
meat and sushi and dairy and stuff like that. They may be energetic entities that in the Christian community or in the Muslim community they would call spirits or demons or jinns and things like that. So this is why a lot of addiction isn't healed, because people need to have those parasitic entities removed from the body, and generally they don't do that in rehab facilities. They haven't got the knowledge base.
Yeah. You want to talk about feeling that'll make you feel sick for 3 or 4 days trying to do a really good parasite cleanse.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do that.
I know it
Mhm.
is, absolutely, but be prepared to have
There's-
headaches and
Yeah. There's gentler as well. There's so many different types. Like, so Jenny, you mentioned zeolite. We
Mhm.
have a New Zealand fulvic acid that also eliminates, well, it gives you electrolytes and trace minerals. It also gets rid of heavy metal in your body, as well as parasites. So
Okay.
it comes from really beautiful soils in New Zealand. Anyways, when I started using it, it's been on it for 2.5 weeks. I noticed that I had a couple days where that were a little bit headachy, but yeah, it's been very effective. Like, there's people releasing parasite sacs and everything.
Somebody sent me something really interesting today about reasons to drink seawater. I wouldn't drink seawater personally, but I do put good quality sea salt in my water.
Mhm.
I boil my water and then I put sea salt in it. And it says at the digestive level, salt water begins to activate the salivary glands in the mouth, releasing amylase. This initial step in the digestive process is very important. In the stomach, natural salt stimulates hydrochloric acid and a protein digestion enzyme, which help break down food. It also stimulates secretions in the intestinal tract and liver, which help with digestion. Regarding the nervous system, salt minerals calm the nerves by reducing cortisol and adrenaline, two dangerous stress hormones. So drinking salt in your water, not massive amounts of salt, but a little pinch of salt in your water. I feel water tastes weird without salt now, to be honest. I'm
Me
so
too.
used
Me
to
too.
drinking it with salt. It tastes
Yeah.
really bland without it. And I don't overdo it, but I do put a little pinch of salt in my boiled water all day long. So it's good if you think about it. Salt cleanses, salt preserves. So people that are drinking a lot of water, if you're drinking 8 glasses of water a day and you're still feeling constipated or dehydrated, or you've got dry feet, that's because you are dehydrated. Because what the water is doing, you're peeing out the salts in your body, the natural minerals in your body, and you get more dehydrated. So this is how I found out why it was important to put salt back into the water that I was drinking when I was drinking a lot of water every day. And it just makes you feel good as well. It's sterilizing you from the inside out to a degree, if you think about it. You can also put some in your bath as well and soak in it for 20 minutes so you're absorbing it into your skin. And then remember to shower it off afterwards as well.
Yeah, there was also, just because I happened to see this yesterday, there was something I saw where they had some parasites, and then they had some baking soda that they put on like for a microscope viewing. So they put it on one of those little glass
Oh, and
things
it
there,
killed them.
and it killed them.
Sure did. I saw
Baking
that.
soda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baking soda has so
Yeah,
many
but a baking
yeah.
soda without aluminum. I mean, you have to be careful when you
Yeah.
buy your baking soda because some baking sodas do have aluminum in them.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It'll tell you right there on the
Yeah.
ingredients.
Bob's Red Mill, that I get
Yes.
mine. Yeah, and they don't have the aluminum in there. So
Okay.
excellent.
Oh, that's good. The same with toothpaste, guys, and mouthwashes.
Yep.
Look for fluoride free. The same
Yep.
with deodorants. Look for aluminum free as well, and stuff like that. Read the labels. It's important. Okay. Okay. I think that's all for this week, unless anyone else got anything they'd like to share before we finish up. We're good?
No, I'm
Just,
good.
we had some
Good
great
talk.
conversations about, things that we observe and instead of absorb. So yeah, I'm gonna check out that, what was that Buy Now on Netflix?
Yeah.
Just curious about that. And also just to think that just having a more awareness about things that we consume, for food and for reading and everything.
Yeah. And just being aware, just because big corporations have said it's safe be suspicious.
Exactly. Because
Yeah, do your own research.
marketing, yeah, discern. You know, like marketing is so powerful, and they can literally dole up. And this is why those organizations, they are very clever with their marketing. They will literally dole up and serve you on a shelf a toxic product, but because they'll have certain things like, you know, cuts 50% grease off your dish soap and everything like that. And then, so you're literally buying something that you think is more effective. It's not safe. There's a lot of toxins in there too.
Yeah.
But marketing, if people can be just aware of the marketing and then really learn to read labels, I think that's also something that's significant. On top of course, growing your own garden.
Yeah,
Well, and
absolutely.
they have that Bobby approved app, and you just scan it and it'll tell you exactly why it's not approved. And then it'll tell you whether it's approved. But then it'll tell you what chemicals in there, why it's not approved, and what's harmful. What is the harmful aspects of that chemical?
Yeah.
Bobby approved, and then
Bobby approved. Yeah, he has
Yeah.
a Facebook a Facebook account too. He goes into like Costco and all these places, and he'll tell you in Costco what is Bobby approved and why. But then he also has an app.
Okay.
Yeah,
And usually, I teach people discernment, you know, to hold something to their heart and ask, is this good for me? And feel what their body responds, how their body responds. And pretty much everyone I've done it with, they either like feel themselves moving backwards, so like no, or moving forwards towards it. Because the body knows, you know, the body is sensitive, and it can pick up on whether something's good for it or not. We've got this innate intelligence within our consciousness that people need to learn to tap into. I teach it in most of my workshops, most of my online courses about discernment. It's very important. I can tell straight away by just asking now. I don't even need to hold it to my heart.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I, you know, deny myself some cake and a cup of coffee once a week. Now back on once a week, because it's a treat, even though it's not good for me. I detox on a regular basis, so I don't worry about it so much.
I'm usually with you. I'm usually with
Yeah,
you when
Lisa's
you're doing
usually with me.
Ah, you two together, huh?
Yeah,
Coffee
we're
and
very.
cake.
Oh yes, we're very lucky. We live close to one another, so we get to.
Yes.
I'm just jealous I'm not getting coffee and cake with you.
Yeah,
Of
well,
course,
soon
yeah.
you have to come up and visit us, Susan.
I know, I
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah,
Oh, that would be wonderful.
yeah,
I know,
we can.
I'd love to see you guys.
Yeah, we'll sort that out at some time in the future.
Okay.
Okay,
Alrighty,
girls. All right, thank you. That was
Okay.
fantastic today.
Thank you.
And thanks everyone for listening. And we'll see you again soon on Talking Timelines. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Disclaimer: the content in this podcast is intended for educational and informational purposes only. The views, opinions, and information shared do not necessarily represent those of the hosts, but is provided for additional perspectives. None of the hosts are medical professionals, so we do not dispense medical advice. Please consult your healthcare professional for any health-related issues. And thank you for listening to Talking Timelines.